have this, you know what? I'm just going to ask you like this. How important is it to have a life partner, a wife that really supports you in what you do? And how is it that you communicate with her to make sure you guys are both on the same trajectory?
Huh. Well, let me make sure that I'm ready for this one, because if you were to have asked the 35-year-old Clyde this question, I would have said, my wife. What do you mean? What does she have to do with anything? Like the arrogant, egotistical guy that he may have been. Because admittedly, I took her for granted. And I thought when I was younger, I can do this myself. I can do this by myself. I am who I am. I survived this. I learned to walk again. I did this. I built this by myself. No, you're never doing it by yourself. Because while I was out there, I like to say slaying dragons, right? So while I was out there slaying dragons, she was at home dealing with the kids, because we made a pact. I'll work, I'll provide, I'll do all the things that need to be done outside of the home, and you take care of everything in the home. You're the president of this household, and I'm the president of Uptown.
Right.
We don't cross each other's paths though, right? When I walk in those doors, this is her world. And so the younger me would have did take her for granted. But as I got older, I realized if it wasn't for her, I would not be where I am today. Because as much as I would like to say that she gets the best of me, she really gets what's left of me when I get home.
Yeah, that's tough, right? Because like when we say we take them for granted, it's not the fact that we want to.
No.
A lot of times, we by the time we've done our day, we just don't have the energy for them, and that's the biggest insult to your spouse you could ever have. That
Agreed.
you don't have a little bit more for me.
Yeah.
You give it to your clients, you give it to your business, you give it to your friends, you give it to playing golf, you give it to all, and then you come home and you know what? What's the first couple of words we go, honey, I'm so tired. My day's so
Tired.
tough.
What's this? What's for dinner? Like I'll call her and say, what's for dinner, before I call her and say, hey, hon, how's your day? Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
One of the things that, again, you grow, you learn, and you become wiser, but you become wiser hopefully through educating yourself. And the one thing that, I want to make sure that comes out of this is I didn't get here by myself, meaning I didn't come to these realizations by myself. I came to a lot of these realizations through conversations with people that I trust, with professionals that I speak to, in order to continue to work on me, because I am an imperfect human being. And the second I accepted that is when I actually began to grow. And so when I sit and I talk with whoever it might be, my mentor, my inner circle, the people that I trust, one of the things that, I'm going to say created, we discussed was, one, instead of waiting to the end of the day to reach out to your wife for what's for dinner or whatever the situation might be, do that midday check-in when you still have the energy, where you still can give her a little bit of that light that you give to everybody else. But more importantly, when you've had those days where it's been heavy, the call that you make, or the call that I make now, is, hey, hon, it's been a day. It's been this, it's been that. Give her a little bit of explanation as to why I might be on edge, because I know who I am. And I'm honest with myself about who I am. And call it the warning call. So when I get home, things, they work a little bit different that day. But more importantly, I take a few minutes on my drive home, maybe a few minutes while I'm there, to decompress, unplug, and then plug back in to what really matters. Because if I don't give her an hour like I would give to a client or an investor that walks in the door to sit here and say, tell me about your day. What happened with the kids? Where did you go? And have that interaction that brings her to life, then I don't get the best of her either, because she dealt with the kids. She went to do this and all the things that it takes to run a household, which I don't know anything about. Okay. Admittedly, I don't know. But I know that if we take the time to actually have that conversation, there's a connection that happens. And through that connection, we're able to be better, not just for ourselves, but for our children. And again, that's what it matters. So that came with, wisdom of age, but that also came with understanding that I had to learn how to put the ego aside. Understanding that, and we talked about this, in the podcast that we did, understanding that, you got to take the armor off, leave it at work and be vulnerable at home. And that lesson I wish I learned so many years ago, because I probably would have an even better relationship than I do now. So
yeah, people don't realize the cost of taking someone for granted.
oof, you might lose them.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you like being taken for granted?
No. But yeah, that's the reality, right? And I'll leave names out of it, but one of the lessons that, unfortunately people in my network, people that are close to me may have had to learn is, when you take your spouse for granted, male or female, when you take your spouse for granted, sometimes they're just not going to be there. And, I have been lucky enough that Natasha has stood by me when I was down, literally, when I had no one else to turn to, and when I hit rock bottom. And she's also stood by me as we've continued to rise and grow. But even when I didn't give her the attention she needed, and, as the egotistical male that often we can be, I looked at her complaining about, why you don't spend time? You're not here. Why aren't we doing? And I looked at, I said, but why are you always arguing with me? Why are you always on me? And, we push back and we're not listening.
You hear words, but you actually have to look at a deeper question.
Exactly.
Right? Deeper question is like, why is she saying, why can't we do this? And why can't we? So
yeah,
what she's really saying is that she misses me.
Exactly.
And she misses our connection that we want to have together.
Yeah.
And she's not complaining. She's just calling for a change so that way you can get reconnected and be back to where you were.
Yes.
And we're not, we think of, men logically think about things. Okay, what's the outcome? Like, what's the outcome she wants? She wants to spend time with me. Well, I don't have time to spend time with her right now. Right. But we don't look at the softer side. Say like, oh my God, like I haven't spent time with my wife. Like even Lee and I right now, like, is busy at work, and we just finished having my stepdaughter's wedding shower. We've been so busy running around that now, like, we get back together and we're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, I personally need to go somewhere with her for a weekend and just turn off everything and just get reacquainted, because I need the energy.
Yeah.
And your wife, people don't realize something. Women are the multipliers in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
You give them something. So if you give them something good, they create something great.
Yes, sir.
You give them something bad, they create chaos.
Watch out.
So if you want to know what a woman's role is to multiply whatever you give her.
Agreed. Very much agreed.
Right? So if you give her love and attention, she will create so much love and an environment that you will thrive in 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
You come home and you treat her like a doormat, she will open up the vortex of the earth and swallow you up and then spit you out, and you wonder what the fuck just happened.
Whoa, exactly. Yes.
So I think that when we show up to our spouses, and I know that we're in battle and we're in war, but when you come home, that should create a safe space for you. But we're so stupid and blind and tired that we don't see this haven of love that we get to walk into, because we're still trying to carry the bullshit from the outside world.
Yeah. And we let the bullshit of the outside world get into our home that should be our safe place.
And it's sacred.
Yes.
Our home should be sacred.
Yes. But we got to remember that.
Yeah.
And, if there's a message that we're going to try to get through to the people that are listening, the men that are listening, it's, guys, wake up. Treat your home really as your castle, your safe place where you can actually be you.
Yeah.
Let your guard down. Leave the armor at the office. Take the time to unplug in the car. But when you walk through those doors, you need to be vulnerable. You need to be open to receive the love that your family will give you. And I will speak from my own personal experience. When I finally realized that is when the blessings truly started, and not a moment before.
Yeah, so much you're waiting for the outside world to change, for us to change. And if you want the world to change, you have to change your perspective. You have to be able to become aware of it. You want to acknowledge it, accept it. We forget that, the other day, I was trying to think about a way I can describe presence, right? And the truth of it is, if you go away somewhere, right? It doesn't matter where you go, you rent a house. When you're there, you feel like you live there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're experiencing for what it is. You're like open-eyed, you're noticing the mountains and the trees, and you're just looking at everything around because everything's new and it seems to be like refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, you can walk by the garden, and sooner or later you stop noticing it. And I think the true meaning of presence is being able to look at exactly what's happening at that moment with no distractions.
How many of us can do that though, Roy?
No, because we sit here, like, sometimes I think that I'm listening to you, like when we're having that conversation, all of a sudden everything fell away, and all I saw was that big smile of yours and you talking, and I was so present to you, and actually allowed me to feel your emotions that you were doing. And I think we forget that we're supposed to do that with the people that we love.
Yes.
Right? Be so focused on what they have to say and be so connected with them that it's not so much the words they say, but the emotions that run through that move us.
Mm-hmm. We are, whether we like it or not, we are spiritual beings.
100%.
We feel emotions, positive and negative.
Absolutely.
And for a very long time, I was afraid of feeling anything. When we talk about the armor was up, mine was all the way up and over my head. Okay.
You're probably wearing somebody else's too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You don't need it. I'll take it. Right. But the reality is, when I stop to actually feel, when I stop to actually pay attention and put the cell phone aside or put it away, put it on the table, is where I can actually connect, where I can actually create, which sounds weird.
Yeah.
But it's through the authentic connection, the feelings that you get to, I can't find the word, the feelings that you get to feel, that, you just turn into a better person, Roy. It's there's just something about it. And, for anybody that, here's what I'm going to say. I know as men, we often believe that we have to have the armor, that we can't feel, we shouldn't feel. And I can't even speak to the amount of times that I've been with friends and I've heard them say, well, you're talking about this, part of my expression, but you're a pussy. You're talking about feelings. Yeah, I'm talking about feelings. What is wrong with talking about feelings? Now, you want to take it a step further? You want to be a black male talking about feelings? They're going to hang me from a tree, right? Pardon the lynching comment. But, the reality is these things are not discussed.
No.
And so if it's almost, illegal for a man to talk about feelings, to feel, or to let their guard down, then what kind of man do you think you're going to be? Not a full one. Not one that can be present for their family.
No, because all you're going to do is wonder what the hell you're feeling inside. And you're trying so much internally to deal with this turmoil that's running through you. And then you wonder why you drink, you smoke, you watch porn, you isolate yourself. You wonder why your body always hurts. You wonder why you're tired. You wonder why you can't think. You can wonder why you can't make a decision. You wonder why everyone around you you despise and resent. Because that's what you are right now, because you're not allowing yourself to express all the rage and all the anger and all the unworthiness and the shit that you got to deal with at work. And I can't imagine people who are first responders who sees death and injury and craziness. And we bring this all home and we plant it in our front door, and it's like no one's allowed in.
Yep.
Fuck you guys.
Fuck you. Yeah, exactly.
And your wife is like, where the hell is my husband?
Yes. That's all she said. Where are you? That's not the guy I married.
Where are you? Why can't I feel you? Why? Because men, we are designed to take on a lot of shit. I'm not going to lie. We're very well built to cope with a lot of high stress, all that kind of stuff. We are.
Yes.
But there also has to be a point where you have to unplug that and let it out.
Yes. Agreed. Don't keep it in.
You will explode. And you know, I heard a stat that the suicide rate for men is like 10 times anybody else's. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the reason why we become so desperate, because we're never allowed to allow ourselves to decompress.
Yeah.
To be in a safe space. We're always on guard, trying to watch. And then we have these thoughts that, you know, my wife hates me, should be better off without me. My kids resent me, they'll be better off without me. You know, and this life is so full of pain. So you drive your car into a parking lot, you pull a gun out and you put it in your mouth and you pull the trigger. And then all of a sudden everything's quiet. But the chaos and hurt that you leave behind is undescribable. And then you have men, and this makes me a little bit emotional, because 1 in 4 men are being sexually abused, whether they're as boys, 1 in 4. So you look at a room of 10 men, right? There's 2, maybe 3 people that have been sexually abused that no one can talk about, because men don't get sexually abused, or boys don't get sexually abused, because we don't think about it. Like your son, coach picks him up, he's with another guy, then go ahead, right? But you wouldn't let your daughter go with a male coach. No, of course not. So, and there's a stigma that we're unbreakable, but yet we're just held together by maybe a strand of hair, right? We're just barely keeping it together.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, guys, if you ever feel that there is no hope and you need an outlet.
Yes.
Like, I'm just saying, like, you can reach out to the Integrity Project. We're here to help you and support you. I understand where we're coming from, and it's hard. And sometimes I look around and I watch these guys in like really like The Walking Dead. They're just in their bodies, and they're like, I don't know how much longer I can do this.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer I can do this. And if you don't have that family and your wife sitting there, and you don't understand the resource you have in her, right? And before it becomes too late, learn to open your heart and open your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want you to say hurtful things, but you say the things that really are, that you're feeling, the overwhelm, the bills, this, that, like, get out there, and you have a partnership with your wife. And then if you allow yourself to put it out there, and now you're on the same page and create the same goals, that is just like.
Yeah. Well, here's what I would say in continuation of that. You know, I don't know why some people may feel that, you know, talking to somebody else about my problems is a bad thing. You know, going to talk to a therapist or whatever it is a stigma. There's something wrong with me. No, it's not. because that might just be the person helping you structure the conversation that you need to have with your wife, with your mom, your dad, whoever it might be. And so again, admittedly, you know, the best parts of me happened when I started reaching out to other people to say, I mean, I don't know what I don't know. I mean, everybody that knows me knows I say that way too much.
That's true,
But
though.
I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm a finance numbers guy. That's it. That's my lane. I like to stay in it. I crunch numbers all day in order to make sure that I maximize results. That's it. That's all I do. But you want to talk to me about feelings and ego and God, and that, guess what? I need to bring in other people that are, you know, specialists that know more than me and learn. So what's wrong with doing the same thing and reaching out to someone you trust, a therapist, whatever you want to call it, a coach, to say, hey, here's what I'm feeling. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what it means, but I know it's there. Because whether it's a positive thought or a negative thought, it lives in you. And a younger Clyde, I used to say, I put boxes and I build boxes and I put them on the shelf. But what I didn't realize is eventually that shelf gets full and all those boxes come tumbling down.
Yeah.
And when they do, you better be ready. So making sure that I take the time to unplug, to feel, to just be at peace with me first, so that I can be a better father, business leader, mentor, whatever it is you want to call it, is just so important.
When your children and grandchildren talk about you years from now, what do you hope they say about you as a man?
I want them to talk about the fact that I was there. I was there for them. I was able to be part of the moments that mattered. That I showed them love, true love, connected love, not with a cell phone in my hand. I want them to remember or talk about the fact that my journey in life is to connect with people like yourself and leave a mark, leave something in them that hopefully makes them better, makes them smile. Because, I don't know, Roy, you only get one kick at the can, you know? And for me, if everybody that I interact with remembers Clyde as the guy that made me lighter, then that's a positive experience and one that I'm okay with. And whether it's in business or in life, I just keep trying to, you know, spread the love. Really.
You know, something came to me that when we spoke the other day about this call, you spent most of your high school career hiding.
Oh boy.
You were a great athlete and slightly genius, like just maybe a smidge below genius, and you hid that because you found it. I guess you must have found it a little bit embarrassing.
I was intimidated.
Yeah.
I wasn't comfortable with who I was, you know, and that's just the reality. I made the joke with you, you know, as like one of 3 black like guys in my high school.
Yeah.
And then, you know, on top of that, like I happen to be smart, guys, you know, so everybody's like, okay, you know, black male, he should be good at sports. Yeah. Okay. Let's run with it.
Yeah.
Right. So I was blessed enough that, you know,
So you want to keep the stereotype.
yeah, keep the stereotype alive. Why not?
There
Right.
you go.
But, you know, I hid the fact that, you know, yeah, I, you know, academically, I could probably, compete with most of them. And I just wasn't comfortable. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
And, that's something that honestly I regret, because I could have done better. I could have, maybe had access to other things in life if I had, gone the academic route. But I mean, hey, do I regret it? No. But at the same time, I wish I never hid that side of me, because you shouldn't have to hide who you are. And if there's a message to anybody that's out there that's living under the radar, let your light shine.
Shine the gifts that God gave you.
Exactly. Don't dim your light for anybody, because it's not worth it. It's not. Whether you think it is or not, it's not.
And I think when you shine your light, you find your tribe.
Yes.
You find the people that you're meant to be associated with, that's gonna deliver you to your goals. Like I found that every time you try to be quiet, it's just lonely.
Yeah.
And I know you think you're not going to be accepted, but you're not going to be accepted by everybody. Believe it or not everybody likes me. Believe it or not, I don't have like a million friends. Believe it or not, I'm not well. And we had that
Welcome to the
conversation
club.
with Rich today. Says I'm very inappropriate. I say the wrong things. I'm a little bit harsh, but that's okay. But that's who I am. And people who know who I am, and like-minded people, we find each other.
Mm-hmm.
And good people find good people.
Yeah. I still remember the very first day I met you. It was like out of the blue, you just and it sounds so weird, but like out of the blue, you were just there. And we're standing in Mexico. I'm like, and something drew me to you.
Yeah.
And I remember we talked for like, I don't even know, felt like forever.
Yeah, dude, you must have 1,000 chuckles in that conversation. It was so, like I said, and it was so light. Like you meet a lot of people, and sometimes you're like, oh my God, this guy's a real but you have this unbelievable light energy around. It was like I knew you my whole life.
Thank you.
Which is beautiful. Thank you. I'm gonna touch on one more thing before I ask you a couple last questions here. You shared last time the impact that your neighbor John had on your life.
Yeah, Papa John, as I like to call him.
Yeah. So who was John, and how did that friendship influence the choices you made as a man, as you became a man?
So, like I said, Papa John, I can't help but smile, because so John was my neighbor growing up, still is my neighbor to today. And he was like a second dad for me. I grew up in a single parent household. I lived with my mom primarily. And my dad, God love him, he wasn't ready to be the man that he needed to be at that time. And that's okay. I understand that now that I'm older. So growing up, the male influence for me came from Papa John, right next door. And he became someone that I could open up to, someone that I could trust, and for some reason, someone that looked out for me, even then. And, without telling a long-winded story, life has never been easy for me. So when the time came that I unfortunately could no longer play football, play soccer at a competitive level, and I needed to find a new path, I found myself, doing what I always used to do. I was in the garden or in the on the front lawn with the soccer ball in my foot, just dribbling and doing keep ups and thinking, because that's what I used to do.
Right.
And I remember John just saw me and said, "Come inside." Inside. I've never been in your home. Like to that day, I'd never been in his house.
How long you were neighbors for?
Forever. Right? But I just is not who I am. I'm the guy that, I don't, you do you, I do me,
Yeah.
And he says, "Come inside." And I said, "Okay, I'm in trouble. I'm for sure in trouble. What did I do? Did I break something? I don't remember. I'm going through all the things." And he says to me, "What are you doing with your life?" Because him and my mom always talk. Now I know they talk all the time. And, probably she may have asked him to have a conversation,
Yeah.
And he says, "What are you doing with your life?" And I said, well, what do you mean? He says, okay, you're not going to go this path, but that doesn't mean life is over. You got to choose a new path. Are you going to become a teacher? Are you going to become a firefighter? Are you going to become, whatever? Originally, I was going to school to become an accountant. Thank God I chose, not that. I'm just too talkative and mean for that
You're
life.
not an accountant.
No, not at all. Not at all. I couldn't. I need people. I need people too much. I just admitted that. Can you imagine? He kind of challenged me in ways that I needed to be challenged in. He planted the right seeds and allowed them to grow. And, every time I saw him, he would come back and he'd water them just a little bit. So what's going on? Have you decided? What about this? And, as I got older and I made the decisions to, go into banking, to go into finance, to go into mortgages, I always found myself coming back to Papa John. And, I talked to him about business, about family, about God, about being a true version of you. Because life has been kind and cruel to both of us. And it's through the moments that happen where if you're paying attention, you can learn the lessons. And like I admitted, the young Clyde often didn't pay attention. So, John was always very good at making sure that he gave me a little bit of a reality check. He kept me grounded. And he's always been there for me to have the business conversation, the personal conversation, or whatever conversation I needed. And if I've never said it to him personally, I'm going to take the opportunity now and say, John, thank you for everything.
As a successful Afro-Canadian business leader, I had to throw that in there. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, right?
Yeah. I love to include everyone, but listen, you're a successful, African Canadian business person. You're a hell of a guy. What advice would you give to young men who are trying to build a better future for themselves and their families I'm going to say the Afro-Canadian community, but it could be anybody.
Yeah.
I know that people always feel like certain people have certain privileges and advantages and stuff like that, but what advice would you have for them?
Okay, I'm going to be so real.
I hope so.
Here's what I'm going to say. Before you think about, I want to build a business, I want to build a family, I want to be this, I don't know, made up version of, or thought up version of whatever you want in life, you need to stop and you need to build you. You need to understand who you are. You need to understand how you learn. You need to understand what are the foundational pieces that you need in order to truly be successful when the times are good, but most importantly, when the times get tough. And I don't know where I heard it, but the saying goes, pressure builds diamonds. And, I never really stopped to understand until business happens. And when business happens, you need to be able to handle the pressure, because that's where the foundation's going to be tested. The foundations of who you are as a man, black, white, brown, it doesn't matter. But if you, nobody else, if you are not ready for the blessings that life has for you, because you haven't taken the time to stop and build the right foundations, then good luck to you. So that's the message.
I don't know what it is about you, Clyde, but every time you say a few things, I get goosebumps. So you should give me it's just I gotta let that process for a second before. Um, After all the successes, the challenges, the lessons, and experiences, what is the deepest truth you've learned about life, love, family, and purpose?
Oof. The deepest lessons that I've learned.
The deepest truth.
The deepest truth. And none of this really matters.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to discourage anybody.
No,
Right?
the deepest truth. None of the success matters.
No, because look, I've been privileged enough, blessed enough to understand that in a heartbeat, all of it goes away. Because in a heartbeat, my life changed. It stopped. And I had to redefine how I was going to live my life in an instant. But, being who I am and being attached to the circles that I'm privileged enough to be a part of, I see a ton of success, a ton of successful people that I talk to daily. And I'm also able to hear the stories that are unfortunate. And, people see the glamour. They see the cars, they see the houses, they see the watch, they see all the material bullshit that doesn't matter. But I can guarantee you, push my story aside, if you talk to the multi-billionaire that lost his son to suicide, would he trade every dollar that he had for his son? I guarantee it. If you talk to the guy that owns half of Woodbridge who lost his wife, would he sell everything or give it away to bring her back? There's no question. So none of it matters if you don't have the people that truly are a part of you to enjoy it with. And for a long time, Roy, I didn't get that. And I continued to build the wrong way. Because in my mind, I was building for them. But none of it mattered if they weren't going to be there.
It's like when you build a house, you want to build it for your family, but yet you don't give them any chance to contribute to building the house that you're building for the family,
Yeah.
expecting what they need and want without their input. Clive, you have such an amazing way to connect with people, and I'm honored that you're actually here with me today.
Come on.
And listen, I know that we'll be friends for a very long time, and maybe I'll come to Portugal, watch your son play soccer.
I would be honored.
I'll sleep on the couch and in the place wherever you're renting. But thank you for being here, and really being vulnerable with us and being your true, authentic, soft, beautiful self. And if anybody wants to get a hold of you, where can people find you? I know you have a great podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
And and a great little company called Uptown, which you are a great success. And so where can people find you?
You can find me on socials, Clyde _Uptown. Or of course you can find me on socials at Uptown Experts. And Roy, before you finish off, I really just want to take an opportunity to say, of course, thank you for inviting me onto the podcast, but more importantly, thank you for allowing me into your heart, because like I said, there's something about the connection. You allow me to be who I am. You allow me to feel, to express my authentic self, my authentic person without any fear. And having the ability to do that and continue to have the conversations openly, that is something that you don't get everywhere. and you provide a safe place for me, and I'm sure you do for others. So thank you for being you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And on that, guys, this is the Integrity Project. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. It's so deep and so beautiful. If you want to find us, we're on Spotify at the Integrity Project, RC Truth Academy on Instagram. I'm still getting emotional about this. And on Facebook, you can find me at Roy Cocciollo. Guys, thanks again. Until next time.